Hey guys in Judo and Jiu-Jitsu land out there, it's Kathy Hubble here. I just thought I'd have a talk today about one of my comments and actually a few comments on a few different of my YouTube videos. We're asking about which should I do first, Judo or BJJ, if I'm a beginner just starting. So I thought I'd address that in a quick talk video here. Just finished a workout here at my dojo, and yeah, it came up again today with one of the students. So wondering about the first time or fairly new beginner person entering martial arts between the two, Judo and BJJ. Which should I enter? This is completely obviously person dependent and a lot of other things dependent, but I've seen a lot of other videos suggesting Judo should be only for the younger set, and because it's got a lot of impact, a lot of falls, a lot of hard on the body, things like that, and so leave it to the young folks. And then after 20 years old, you're just too broken up to do Judo or too arthritic or whatever it is. There are ways you can do Judo and enter Judo at a young age, old age, any age, and still be proficient, safe, healthy, and good at Judo, even as a beginner entering in your later years. So Judo, in my opinion, depending on obviously the club that you join and the geographic area you are and the sensei that you're under, you can pretty much join at any age. I always think under 4 is a little young. I teach 4 to 7-year-old class, and really it's just physical literacy and learning break falls and tumbling and basic movement. But for older, I'd say, right up into your 80s, you can still do Judo. I know a couple of old senseis of mine and people that I look up to that are in their late 80s and still active on the tatami. So it's very impressive to see at what age you can still do Judo, and you can do it in a healthy and safe way. So all the videos I've seen that say, oh, Judo's only for the young and after 20 you can't do it anymore and things like that, I don't believe that to be true. Judo you can start at any age. And you just really be careful about which club you are, what mat surface they have, the crash mats if they have them. You got to have a crash mat to practice throws effectively and safely. What kind of uchikomi do they do? Standing, moving, stationary. What kind of partners are there at that dojo? Philosophy of the sensei. If it's a super competitive club or recreational, or maybe it's a mix and they have comp nights and they have rec nights, or they have, Friday night. We have one called Freedom Fridays, and it's just a free kind of open mat style. And some of the older guys come in and they work out together and make sure they roll safely together. And there's lots of other differing variables that will depend on what club you enter for sure, but have a talk with the sensei of whatever club you're thinking of joining, if it's Judo in your town, and really get down to what he or she says about the older judoka, if you're an older judoka starting out, and how you can progress and what your goals could be. Some of us, even at an older age here, we still want to compete. So they have Masters Division in Judo competitions. And in fact, they even just brought in Newaza competitions a couple of years ago. So now we can compete ground fighting only. And that's been great for us older grapplers that have been competitive and still want to be competitive. There's Newaza competitions, which is all ages. Or if you're doing regular Judo competitions, there's 30 and up and 40 and up divisions. So, check into that as well if you're a competitor. And if you just want to roll recreationally and learn some grappling, there's lots of Judo clubs out there in the world that offer just that. Or even if they're a competitive club, they might have a night that's just for rec. And so check that out, and you can totally join at any age. Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and a 4th degree black belt in Judo. So with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's fairly new to me, so I'm not as familiar, of course, 37 years in Judo and only 7 years in Jiu-Jitsu. But I'm enjoying my BJJ journey, and it's a lot of fun and a lot of excellent people in the Jiu-Jitsu world that I'm just enjoying the cross-training quite a bit. And I think you can join at any age with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. Some of the videos I've seen, some of the comments I've seen, people say that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu you can join at an older age and Judo you can't. Well, if you think about Judo, any typical normal judo practice from where I am anyways in Canada here, and most of the dojos around the world that I've visited have a newaza portion and a tachiwaza portion. So newaza is ground fighting in judo, just like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And then there's tachiwaza, which is stand-up portion of the practice. So usually about 50-50. Some clubs are even more 60% groundwork, 40% stand-up, and sometimes the reverse, depending on demographics, if it's a rec class or comp class, what the goals are of that class. So check that out as well when you join Jiu-Jitsu or Judo. They might offer a recreational class or a over 30 class or a fun night or open mat night, that kind of thing. So check that out as well. But both arts are fantastic to cross-train together. Like I said, 37 years in Judo, but I cross-trained into Jiu-Jitsu because I want to get my ground game better. And definitely my ground game improved a lot because of my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu journey. And I brought that back to Judo. And then also a lot of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu people I know that crossed over and got a little bit of Judo training, a couple of years under your belt in Judo as a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, your stand-up in your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competitions is gonna be way better. So fantastic idea if you're a BJJ guy or girl to come on over to Judo and get some stand-up practice, and vice versa. I think the two really marry together well, and there shouldn't be any territorialism or which one's better or worse or which one you could win in a street fight or some of these videos that you see out there. They both complement each other very well, and for the beginner looking to join, either one is fantastic. Right now, with the rise of BJJ popularity, there's probably maybe more Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu programs or clubs out there for you to join in your town, but I don't know, it depends. There's 4 to 1 more judo clubs in France, for example, and most places in Europe than there is Jiu-Jitsu. But in Canada, for example, there's probably more Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu clubs now to join than there is judo clubs. So depending on the region you're in the world, it's both are offered and both are excellent. But if you have a hard time in either of them, don't hesitate to talk to your sensei or professor about it, and maybe you have to even move clubs, If the judo club that you're in isn't giving you what you want, maybe you want more groundwork in judo, maybe that particular club is only giving you 30% groundwork and 70% stand-up, and you want more groundwork in your judo practices, maybe the neighboring judo club has 70% groundwork and 30% stand-up. Every judo club is a little bit different. Generally speaking, most are half and half in judo clubs here in this country anyway, but in Jiu-Jitsu, it's primarily groundwork with a little bit of stand-up. So depending on the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu club that you join, some are smaller, so they just don't have the ceiling height to be able to do the big throws and stuff, and that's why they don't practice a lot of stand-up. Some, maybe the professor is better at guard pulls, or that's his game, closed guard or something, so therefore he doesn't practice a lot of stand-up with his students. There's lots of different reasons why there may not be a lot of stand-up practiced at that Jiu-Jitsu place, but there's always stand-up, usually at most Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu clubs. So inquire around before joining and see if that's your desire, that is, to have a mix of both, and find the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu club that suits you best, or the Judo club that suits you best. But honestly, once you get going in your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or your Judo journey, I think one should marry with the other, and if you can afford it, join both clubs and really get the two working together, or join a Judo club that has half Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or newaza is what we call it in Judo, and half stand-up. And that way you're getting the best of both worlds there as well. Anyways, that's just my thoughts for the day. It came out in practice earlier today, and a number of comments on my YouTube videos, so I was meaning to address that. I say that two arts complement each other really well, and no matter what age, you can join either of them. So any questions, comments, just put them in the comments there below, and I'd love to hear from you. Thanks.